It is great to have you back here on our station. The legendary lead singer of Depeche Mode, Dave Gahan, addresses a silent crowd. A hint of pent-up emotions and years of frustration lingered in his steady voice. The man whose mesmerizing performances and seductive voice have made him famous has chosen to reveal a long-buried secret from the band's past. Andy Fletcher is a quiet but crucial member of the band, and his relationship with the rest of the members is complex and turbulent. Fans thought Fletcher was the rock behind the scenes, keeping the band together for a long time. A new angle is revealed, nevertheless, by Gahan's discoveries. One in which their decades-long partnership was rife with stress, miscommunication, and hidden animosities. Andy Fletcher was the unassuming rock of Depeche Mode, at least to the outside world. A character who, despite the band's ups and downs, is frequently characterized as the peacemaker, diplomat, and rock steady. His participation in the band was significantly more complex than fans believed, hidden behind the calm attitude. In Depeche Mode, Fletcher's work was frequently overtaken by Martin Gore's towering creative outputs and Dave Gahan's explosive performances. The roles of Gore and Gahan were more clearly defined. Fletcher's responsibilities were more vague, encompassing management supervision, logistical support, and occasional musical contribution. Within the band, this uncertainty frequently became a source of friction. Due to Gahan's well-documented struggles with addiction and personal issues, Fletcher was seen by Gahan as not being involved enough in the creative process, which led to a confrontation between the two. Fletcher claimed it was his job to keep the group in check, but Gahan was becoming more and more irritated by what he perceived as Fletcher's indifference. The pressure to replicate their enormous success intensified the band's internal conflicts, which reached a boiling point during the recording sessions for albums such as Songs of Faith and Devotion. As the band's self-proclaimed mediator, Fletcher frequently found himself caught in the midst of furious quarrels between Gahan and Gore. Contrary to expectations, Fletcher's impartial stance would occasionally make things worse. During his lowest points, Gahan yearned for affirmation and praise, but Fletcher's reluctance to commit left him feeling deserted. Although the divide between the two men is seldom seen by the public, it has a lasting impact on their relationship because of this dynamic. Conflict also arose outside of studio time as a result of Fletcher's realistic approach to the band's commercial affairs. Frequently at odds with Gahan's more daring visions for the band's public persona and tour tactics, Fletcher was known for being cautious. The men involved failed to adequately resolve the underlying personal irritation that permeated their conflicts, even though they were always couched in a professional manner. Andy Fletcher's problems did not stop on the Depeche Mode tour bus or in the studio. Misunderstandings and undercurrents of animosity plagued his relationships with people in the music industry, despite their apparent professionalism. Although his fans saw his quiet demeanor as poise, his co-workers often found him cold and unapproachable. Sound engineers and producers often clashed with Fletcher's careful and almost inflexible attitude to logistical issues. His obsession with overseeing every aspect of production caused tension, but he was crucial in keeping the band's operations running well. Imagine instead that Fletcher's obsession with schedules and finances rules the studio, a place where creative spontaneity is supposed to thrive. Others were irritated by his seeming lack of enthusiasm for the creative parts of the procedure. Despite his organizational skills, Fletcher was quietly criticized by industry executives for not fully immersing himself in the creative aspects of Depeche Mode's music. A man preoccupied with figures rather than notes, he was seen by some as an impediment rather than an enabler. In a business where teamwork and creative friendships were the norm, this impression frequently cast him as an outsider. Although he was crucial to the band's success, his desire to be in charge of the commercial side of things occasionally turned off fans who wanted a more collaborative relationship. As a result, he was forever torn between the applause for his accomplishments and the hushed complaints of others who felt he was too controlling. The guy who had long been seen as the rock of Depeche Mode, Fletcher, showed a different side when his personal and financial problems surfaced outside of the band. His carefully crafted image as a man in charge was destroyed when ill-advised investments in the late 1980s ruined both his financial stability and his reputation. On top of his already substantial duties within the band, the pressure to keep up appearances while losses mounted was a major burden. These concealed financial blunders added another layer of complication to Fletcher's already complex image. They were a cause of personal humiliation for him. His mental health started to suffer as a result of the financial burden and his inclination to internalize stress. During pivotal points in Depeche Mode's history, Fletcher, who had previously been a steadfast presence in a band prone to turmoil, saw himself growing more and more alone. Imagine this. Fletcher is standing alone in the dark, the sound of the crowd is muted, and he is burdened by the pressures of his personal and professional life. The show is about to end, and the lights are going down in the stadium. Because he was reluctant to talk about his problems, Fletcher had to fight his demons alone, while the rest of his bandmates found comfort in making music or making public confessions. The interpersonal dynamics of Depeche Mode weren't the only thing that caused Fletcher friction, even in their close-knit environment. It was clear from his contacts with promoters, label officials, and managers that he was extremely protective of his artists. This quality served to protect the group's interests, but also alienated other members who thought he was being too cautious or aggressive. Despite his noble intentions, his intransigence often caused negotiations to stagnate and partnerships to become strained, solidifying his image as a challenging yet indispensable person in the industry. Looking at his life as a whole, these professional obstacles revealed a man who struggled to reconcile his love for Depeche Mode with the harsh reality of a world that frequently appeared to contradict his character. The fact that Fletcher had to fight for his own happiness in and out of the band showed how even the most level-headed people have it rough. His disputes were not motivated by animosity, but by a sincere desire to safeguard the things he had contributed to, a goal that, however admirable, had a personal price. Andy Fletcher's life was tumultuous and hiddenly painful beneath the calm facade he so diligently kept. While the rest of Depeche Mode dealt with their more publicized problems, he stood firm as the band's unwavering linchpin. Underneath it all, Fletcher's personal life was a tightrope walk. He was constantly on the go between tours, recording sessions, and the endless expectations of his worldwide fan base, leaving little space for the genuine relationships that had previously supported him. The foundation of stability in an unpredictable business, his marriage took a beating from his workaholic tendencies. Fletcher's family had to learn to live without him on a regular basis because of how dedicated he was to Depeche Mode. Imagine a man balancing the demands of a famous band while his loved ones cheer him on from the sidelines, missing the closeness that fame appeared to take away. According to those close to the family, Fletcher was caught in the middle of a tense dynamic, split between his repressed longing for a simpler life and his unfaltering devotion to the band. His relationships were weakened by the continual pressure and resistance, fractures that, with all the effort he put into his profession, were hard to heal. Fletcher could no longer deny the physical toll that decades of working in the music industry had taken on him. Those closest to him witnessed the strain that stress, long hours, and an occasionally demanding touring schedule had on his health, even though he seldom discussed it publicly. Those who paid close attention could see behind Fletcher's icy exterior and into his battles with physical weariness and growing health worries. He was already seen as unflappable, but these problems, together with the emotional toll of being a family man and a band member, made him much more vulnerable. While he faced these difficulties, Fletcher upheld a level of secrecy that contributed to his mysterious character. Unlike the other members of Depeche Mode, Fletcher kept quiet about his difficulties with addiction, controversies, and personal breakdowns. Yet, this decision had consequences. He forced himself to confront his problems alone by tightly guarding his struggles, denying himself the release that others found in sharing their anguish. Underneath Fletcher's quest for stability and the mayhem that was his life in Depeche Mode, there were murmurs of unsaid remorse. He looked to be torn between two worlds, according to his friends. In one, you'll feel the tumultuous intensity of packed arenas and yelling fans, while in the other, you'll feel the peaceful longing for an easier existence. This contrast became an integral part of Fletcher's identity, serving as a continual reminder of the difficulties he endured while serving his band. Ultimately, Fletcher's personal hardships revealed a moving portrait of a man whose job came before his health and happiness. In the background, he lived a life of subtle upheaval, very different from the pristine persona he gave to the outside world. It served as a sobering reminder that behind the scenes, Even the most famous people deal with issues that the general public doesn't see. A legacy as intricate and multidimensional as the music Fletcher helped create accompanies the heavy price that Fletcher paid for his love to Depeche Mode. Andy Fletcher was a man whose life and career were unraveled by Dave Gahan's revelations, and whose contributions to Depeche Mode were profoundly misunderstood and priceless. While Fletcher's narrative is one of quiet resilience, it is also one of lost chances, unresolved conflicts, and a desire for recognition that was rarely granted. Just like Depeche Mode's legacy, his own is a mix of successes and failures. A reminder of the difficulties of maintaining healthy personal and professional connections in the harsh music industry, and a tribute to the efficacy of teamwork. Although Fletcher was not the most prominent member of Depeche Mode, his influence on the band's legacy is indisputable, and his complicated life is still a topic of discussion and contemplation. Andy Fletcher, a man who tried to maintain peace but was frequently in the middle of fights, is ultimately a contrast story. A person who personified steadiness yet battled his own frailties. His impact on music is as moving and relatable as his legacy, as a gentle reminder that every voice, no matter how small, has the power to shape our world forever.